Happy Halloween, everybody. This is Raw Dog Sports. I am Mike. That is Evo. It's called the 80s. Ford was president, Nixon was in the White House, and FDR was running this country into the ground. We have got an excellent show for you guys today. I am very pumped. Week 9 is here. I am taking this fucking mask off, though, because my goodness. It did it again. I don't know why it's done that twice now. That's two shows in a row.
It knows what you're doing. It knows what you're doing.
Yeah. Doesn't like it, apparently. But, yeah. So, that interesting that happened. Got a little cup of coffee this morning. It is early on a Friday morning, 9 o'clock. Both of our times. You are out here in Ohio. Looks like you're in a hotel room getting your boys for Halloween. Happy Halloween to everybody who is going to see this tomorrow, Saturday. It will appear live when this comes out, but it will not be. But my man, how you doing, brother? I'm excited to be here. Glad that, we get to do a little fun Friday show. We're going to toss in some fun transitions randomly throughout the show because we'll have the ability to do that since we're going to edit this thing afterward. So we'll have a little bit of fun on this Halloween show. But my man, how are you? I know your back's hurting a little bit. You just fucking flew out here to Ohio. Other than that, how you doing, my man?
Yeah, man. That's thank you everybody for tuning in. It's a little abnormal for us, but look, we're grown-ass men with grown-ass lives. We got responsibilities and things to take care of. So yeah, if you're watching this, you're probably watching on a Saturday or after Saturday. But to all who celebrated last night, happy Halloween. But yeah, got out to Ohio around 1 in the morning. So realistically for me, it is 6:15 in the morning. So I am having a cup of Tim Hortons, which it's so coffee, I guess. It'll get the job done. But yeah, I am hurting, man. Dude, flying sucks and no amount of muscle relaxers seem to help that. And I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to make it out here on time. Took a flight from Tucson to Chicago and then Chicago here to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and then drove the rest of the way in. But thought we weren't going to make it there with that Chicago flight. I mean, shout out to the TSA and to air traffic controllers who are all working right now without pay. Everything kind of went seamless and without issues, almost less issues, I would say, than on a normal day when they're getting paid. So maybe that's the fix for air traffic is just don't pay them, make them piss, and they get things done better. That would seem asinine, but yeah, didn't think we were going to be able to make it out here on time, possibly because uh, an old man sitting 2 rows in front of the wife and I, which he looked like um, Jack Nicklaus, the golfer, with a pair of double D tits. Uh, got got on the plane and immediately started throwing up in his seat. And it was only like a half full flight, so everyone started to like evaporate around him into other seats. And they had to, do the whole thing once we got in the air of, is there a doctor on board and everything? Because he was like violently ill and they thought that he could be having appendicitis or a heart attack or something like that. So it was touch and go for a little bit. I thought we were going to have to possibly do an emergency landing for this thing. And I was like, well, worst case, we just get some priority handling on the way in and get to our gate quicker. So turned out all right. He didn't die. Shout out to him. And made it here safe and sound in an Airbnb. So that's why the digs are a little bit different. You're not seeing the normal background for me, but I'm happy to be here on what is today for us a Friday, but for our Saturday pick show, where we get to go through all of week 9 and hopefully do a little bit better than last week. We started off right last night, though.
We did start off right last night. Interesting matchup. It seemed like Miami may stay in it for a little bit. But Baltimore clearly pulled away. Lamar showed up 4 touchdowns. I mean, he had a great night. So I was very happy that, -7 worked out. I felt really good when they got up by 8. When it was, 14-6, I was like, okay, 7.5 feels like money at this point. Like anytime you're up by 8, because then you're going to need a 2-point conversion or something crazy somewhere that gives you 7.5, feels pretty good. And then Ravens just kept piling on. If you want, brother, we can hop into some of the stuff that we saw from last night's game before we start making picks.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, brother. So let me pull up my ESPN. So Evo is obviously not in his normal situation, doesn't have all of his normal stuff. So I'm going to be running a lot of this stuff. I know I don't normally. I'm kind of your interjections, but here we go. So last night, Ravens going down to Miami, getting the dub 28-6. Lamar Jackson had a baller game coming back 18-23, 204 yards, 4 touchdowns. Derrick Henry back to doing Derrick Henry things when the threat of Lamar was there. And then the Dolphins just couldn't get anything going. Tua throws another pick. Seems like this Dolphins team is scrambling. They're simple about a captain. Mike McDaniel's screaming on the sidelines, just infuriated. By the way, that will be featured on the thumbnail for this episode. But, man, it was just a shit show. Evo, your take, your thoughts on the game last night.
Yeah, the Baltimore defense is actually stepping up. This is absolutely reminiscent of last year, except for Baltimore played a more competitive brand of football up to about like week 10 to 12, and then the defense just kind of clicked and started working. This year, obviously, it was a very shitty start. Now we are here in week 9, and they're just getting Lamar Jackson back. Both sides of the football were not operating correct until, kind of like we brought up the last 2 weeks, the defense has actually shown up better. And then you get Lamar Jackson back, and once you have him, like he makes that whole offense run. Um, we saw good things from Snoop Huntley, but it's not Lamar Jackson. So being able to put up constant points forces the offense from the other team to have to get into more of a pass happy or aggressive situation. And the Baltimore Ravens defense absolutely took care of that. They got the interception on Tua last night, 2 fumble recoveries, one of them by Loie Gilman, who was a recent trade. They got, the Harbaugh brothers did a trade in order to bring in safety Loie Gilman. And it seems like that defense all of a sudden is clicking, which makes sense because they got so many good guys in the secondary, yet the secondary seemed to be their weakness. Marlon Humphreys and Jair Alexander, second game as a healthy scratch. So maybe he is a bit of a cancer, and that's why, because he was a scratch a lot with Green Bay last year, regardless of health, it seemed like. So kind of trending down on his career there. But yeah, look, the Ravens defense is absolutely picking it up. Their offense, looks like it is expected to look for the most part with Lamar Jackson back. And now the Ravens are going to be going into a 4-game stretch that looks very winnable in all games, including their next game against my Vikings. And so they absolutely could kind of tear off a whole bunch of wins here and all of a sudden make that AFC North competition a lot more interesting.
Yeah, speaking of that AFC North competition right now, we got the Steelers on top at 4-3. Right behind them, you've got the Bengals and the Ravens at 3-5, and then the Browns bringing up the rear at 2-6. So this division is very gettable, and the Steelers have a tough matchup this week against the Colts that we are going to talk about. So, my man, that's very gettable for the Ravens team. I think that this division is still theirs to win. They should still be the favorite, in my opinion, especially the things that we have seen out of the Steelers team, this very, very old Steelers team and that Steelers defense. But without further ado, my man, are we ready to start hopping into picks for this week?
Yeah, look, I got one more point to make here because we are kind of glossing over the Dolphins and how bad they are. Like, obviously, they got the embarrassing for the Falcons win last week. And people kind of thought like, hey, maybe they'll actually play a little bit more competitive, but we saw them return to their absolute normal, which is just dog shit football. And I again do not expect that to change. We've seen the continuations of these bad losses, bad team composition. Mike McDaniel freaking out on the sideline, and the talk is, when is he going to be fired? And I honestly don't know at this point. I think we have to start probably focusing around their bye week, which I believe is like week 12 or 14. I don't remember which, but either way, like it's not just him though. It was pretty obvious last night that Tua's accuracy was not there. Uh,
Mhm.
and you know, maybe having one eye swollen shut actually helped him last week somehow. But unless he's going to have old girl farting in his face constantly, he ain't going to be having the swollen pink eye. So like, look, we've banged this drum for a while. I think that they need to do the nuclear option, complete. Blow the thing up there in Miami, new coaching staff. You have to get rid of some of those assets that you have that have
Chubb
future
and Cup.
longevity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that includes Tua. I do not think Tua is the answer for that team. Unfortunately, though, and I don't know how much of a dead cap that this carries with them, but this year they're paying him $39.1 million, which is a absolutely reasonable rate for a quarterback playing like he is, with some of the upside capability, because we've seen that upside in games like last week. But then next year, 56.4 million, 2027, 53.4 million, and then 2028, 65.8 million cap hit.
Jesus.
And so obviously those years probably are structured in the contract where a lot of the money's already essentially been paid out and whatnot. I don't know what the dead cap hits are, but they have to look at trying to move him because that sort of a contract going forward with the level of play that you're getting from him just doesn't equate. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone watching has a thought and wants to, side bet with us. When do you think Mike McDaniels gets fired? Do you think he makes it the whole season? Is it the week before the bye week? When do you think that he actually gets the axe? Because it's got to be coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. Producer Amber, if you wouldn't mind, can you go and look for us when the Miami bye week is? I'm actually going to bring Sleeves in here because I want an answer on this dead cap situation. I think he'll be able to aggregate that a little bit quicker. So let's bring Sleeves in real quick. Hey, Sleeves, my man, can you hear me? It's Mike.
Loud and clear, Mike. I'm right here with you, mate.
Hey, man, I got a question for you. If the Dolphins cut Tua, what is the dead cap hit? He's thinking.
Thinking in British.
If the Dolphins cut Tua in 2026, they'd have a dead cap hit of about 99.2 million, which includes his guaranteed salary and bonuses.
Woo! So it's
Yeah.
kind of prohibitive unless the cap goes up a lot. Now, we've seen huge numbers like that kind of happen before with the Russell Wilson thing, but 99.2 is...
Yeah, it's got to be a trade. It has to be a trade. A cut doesn't make any sense for that team. You are generally locked into them there.
Oh, man. So, yeah, they're kind of stuck.
Yep.
Shout out. Thanks, Sleeves.
Week
Appreciate
12.
that.
Week 12, according to producer Amber, is the bye week.
All right. Well, so I'll give you my pick right now. I think he gets going into week 9. He's going to get the axe before week 12. Or going into week. It's got to be one or the other before week 12.
So it would have to be week 11's game. They lose that one on a Sunday, and then going into that bye week in week 12, they fire him Monday, start fresh with Anthony Weaver, is who I'm assuming will become the interim coach. And he'll have a full, essentially 2 weeks, essentially, to prepare for their next game and start to reorganize, restructure.
Yeah, that's what makes sense to me.
That sounds about right to me as well.
All right, man. So let's move on here from this fucking recap of a shit show game, because honestly, I mean, it was cool to watch Lamar get back out there and do his thing. He still looked a little hesitant at times. I wish he would have taken off a few times, but he's just getting back from a hamstring, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
We ready to hop into our picks for this weekend going into week 9?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right. We're going to hit the people with the transition right here. All right. So we got Falcons going into New England. New England favorited -5.5 points Over under 44.5. Money line on the Patriots minus 230. Evo, where do you see this game going, my man?
Yeah, so the Falcons, again, we just kind of brought up earlier that they got embarrassed last week by this Dolphins team that looks to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. However, the Falcons are so tough to get a read on. They porpoise back and forth. It's one week they're really good, and the next week they'll lose to a shit team, which makes it tough from a gambling standpoint for sure. And I believe that's a lot of the sharp money this week is taking the Falcons plus 5.5 points here because they think that they'll have some sort of like at least a comeback game and be competitive again. That being said, for me, I love the way this Patriots team is playing. I think that Vrabes has them in a really good spot. So I'm going to be going with the Patriots on the money line in this one. I want to continue going with that. But be aware that like this Falcons team does seem to like oscillate a lot from being really bad to really good, and so actually giving them 5.5 points isn't a terrible pick because I think that they could end up keeping it close even if they do still ultimately lose. A big note there though, and I think we saw this last week, Divine Diablo is a key point in that defense, and the defense has been pretty good for him this year. Divine Diablo is out. I believe he might even be on IR at this point. And he's kind of that hybrid safety linebacker role. And he was a big piece of that defense. He's not going to be there going forward. So that could absolutely be one of the kind of turning points for that defense and not operating as well as they had previously.
All right, man. So listen, and I'm going to tell you here, New England on the money line makes a lot of sense to me. I'm not a huge fan of this Falcons team. I think everybody who's seen the show knows that.
We know.
Wildly inconsistent team. Now, if their quarterback situation is for sure figured out and they're going to bring Michael Penix back in, he's healthy, ready to go, then yeah, they could probably keep this thing close. 5.5 might be a little too much, but I do not have a lot of faith in this Falcons team. Whereas I was kind of down on this Patriots team. Okay, they got a couple of wins against some bad teams, but they are continuing to look better and better each week. Now, sure, they're continuing to beat bad teams like my Browns, but they're beating them handily like they should. And that's because Drake May is playing at like MVP level type football. Him, Baker Mayfield, and I mean, you're obviously your True Blues guys that are always there. That's your conversation for MVP right now. Because what Drake May is doing is sensational. He leads the league in completion percentage at 75%. And this is a guy that struggled last year, was not a great touchdown to interception ratio. So he has taken leaps and bounds forward. So I'm on New England. I'm not going to drop the points, though, just because maybe the Falcons decide that they're going to show up and keep this thing fucking close.
All righty, cool. Next up, looks like we got our Carolina Panthers and Green Bay Packers, if I'm not mistaken.
That's
Packers
correct.
are favored in this one, minus 13.5 points at minus 105 odds. You can get the money line for the Packers at minus 950 or an over-under of 43.5. Big spread for this game, which is kind of interesting. Do we know, is Andy Dalton still the starter there, or is Bryce Young going to be able to roll back out?
So I do not know for sure who it's going to be. I'll ask producer Amber if she can clarify. I don't know that it's going to matter, though. I'm not taking 13.5 regardless, especially because it's the Packers. This Packers team is pretty good. They've beaten some decent teams. They have a lot of talent on that team, but I am still not this big believer of Jordan Love. Threw for a lot of yards last week. People are in love with Jordan Love right now. I'm not. He has not really changed my opinion of him. All he's done is just kind of throw deep balls, and guys have gotten lucky. So I cannot drop the points. So this game sucks because you got minus 950 for the Packers on the money line or plus 640. Well, you can go. I'm not taking the Panthers in this fucking thing. So it's not a great game to bet. I'm just going to go Packers minus 950 on the money line. I would avoid putting this in any parlays because it's not going to help you at all. 13.5 is too many for me.
Yeah, and look, the safe play is to take the Packers on the money line here, just because they are a better team. And we've seen some weird stuff from this Panthers team this year, which makes them tough to bet. That being said, everything that I can find shows that Bryce Young has been a full participant in practice. And we've seen them play some teams competitively with Bryce Young in there. Again, not a huge Bryce Young guy by any means, but he's better at this point than Andy Dalton for the most part. I think they can keep it right around that 2 touchdown mark. The Packers aren't really blowing too many people out. Yes, they had a higher scoring game on the Monday night game, or was it Sunday night? I don't remember which at this point versus the Steelers, but I haven't seen them do that too much this year. So I'm taking the Panthers plus the 13.5. I don't like it because it feels dirty betting the Panthers, but like that's a huge spread on against a Packers team that just doesn't feel like they completely blow everyone out. I will say this one is in Green Bay. It is getting a little chillier. And when that happens, Green Bay usually starts to roll a little bit better. But I don't know why. I'm gonna stick with the Packers or excuse, the Panthers plus the 13.5 points. I think that they can keep it relatively close in this
All
one.
right, heading on to our next game. We've got another one of those games that seems weird. I'm just going to fucking get it out there right now. Broncos heading down to Houston. Houston favored it in this game, minus 1.5, over under a 40.5. On the money line, you can get Houston minus 124, or you can take the Broncos at plus 106. This is another one of those fucking games that I think doesn't make any goddamn sense. We said it last week. When next time we saw this, we were going to just do what Vegas says to do. And I'm not fucking doing that because this doesn't make any goddamn sense. The Broncos on the money line is the best bet, plus 106. I think that they're a better team. They both have good defenses, but the Broncos defense is a little banged up because they lost Pat Surtain. That is a huge fucking loss. I don't care. I'm still taking the Broncos on the money line. Are you going to be the voice of reason that follows Vegas?
I thought you were going to do it. And I was like, you know what? Then I'll be the one that does the stupid play, right?
God damn it. So we're both going to do it again.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Broncos plus the points here. I don't get it. You know, Houston had themselves a good game last week versus the 49ers, but I think the 49ers have a lot of injuries and a lot of concerns. Yes, the Broncos are down Pat Surtain, that matters, but their defense is still stellar and the
Yeah.
offense is clicking. Bo Nix is doing very good. Um, yeah, and it's at Houston. Yeah, give me the Broncos plus the points. That feels correct.
Yeah. I don't, man. All right, maybe we'll get to another one. No, I don't think that's happening this week.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Another week we'll try it. Maybe another week. This ain't it. Heading on to our next game, though. Actually, you know what? Let's hit the people with another transition. Heading into our next game, we got the Chargers taking on the Titans down in Tennessee. Chargers favored minus 9.5, over under 43.5 in this game. Evo, are we going to get good Titans at all this year? Or are we just going to watch the Chargers beat the shit out of this team?
I think it's a lot of the latter. The Titans are just in a bad way. It's tough. You know, we both, I believe, think that Cam Ward has the capability of being a good quarterback. He's got some good tools and everything. The problem is that they don't have too many good players around him, nor do I trust the coaching at this point with its, second coaching staff and not having the Callahans around. Um, and Cam Ward's putting up worse stats than Will Levis did, both as a rookie and in his second year. Which is a little bit worrisome if you're a Titans fan for sure. But to me, look, the Chargers are really good. Having Joe Alt back completely reshaped that offense. It made things work a lot better. I trust Kamani Vidal to have another really good game on the ground versus this Titans defense, which may or may not be without Jeffrey Simmons again. Give me the Chargers on the money line. Easier pick there, even though it's minus 500 odds.
Yeah, so I'm tailing here. 9.5 is a lot, and the Titans have been pretty bad. But I want to continue to build my win total. I would like to get up over that 55% mark. So I'm gonna take an easier bet here. This is another one that I probably would not put into a parlay this way. But if you wanted to just make a quick buck, I think this is the right way to go. Chargers should win this game pretty handily. and the emergence of Arondé Gadsden. Was it the second or the third?
The second. His
The
dad
second.
is
Okay.
the
So
old wide
it's
receiver
weird
for
to
the
hear
Dolphins.
a second. Normally you get a junior, but the second. So Arondé Gadsden, the second, has been phenomenal. He is just kind of like a big ass wide receiver. His addition and infusion into this offense has created so many matchup problems. So if they can protect, which they should be able to do with Joe Alt back, this Chargers team is going to be very, very dangerous, man. So Chargers money line for sure there.
And Jeffrey Simmons, it does sound like he hasn't been practicing this week. Status is still technically up in the air. But if he hasn't practiced so far, and Jeffrey Simmons is theoretically a trade piece for this Titans team, I know he's well sought after. The Titans don't want to move him, but anyone can move for the right price. So they probably are kind of keeping him healthy just in case that he does become kind of trade bait. But it sounds like he probably isn't going to play.
Yeah. So Chargers feels pretty good there. Pretty good. All right, man. Let's head on to our next game. We got the Bears taking on the Bengals in an interesting matchup. Bears favored in this game, -2.5, over under of 50.5. This game could have been a really high scoring game. They were projecting it that way. It appears that Joe Flacco will not be playing in this game.
We don't know. It says, according to ESPN a day ago, he's 50-50 on whether or not he'll play. And 16 hours ago, he was participating in practice with that AC joint sprain. But it is a AC joint sprain, I believe, in his throwing shoulder, which is obviously a concern when, it's not just the throwing shoulder, but also it's a 45-year-old man or whatever he is at this point. So that would mean that they would end up resorting back to Jake Browning. And we saw how that kind of worked out, which does make this a very trepidatious bet because we can't say for certain that Flacco's not going to be out there. But even if he is out there, he's not going to be at his full complement, which is kind of scary.
Sure.
The Bears just got their asses kind of handed to them last week by this Ravens team. I do think that the Bears can be competitive, and we do have a lot of question marks and concerns surrounding Joe Flacco. So it feels like the smarter, safer bet here would be to take the Bears in some capacity, even though I want to take the Bengals because I would like to see, obviously the Bears get knocked down a peg, kind of keep things a little bit easier in the NFC North. I'll go ahead. I'll take the Bears on the money line. I feel like I have to, even though I wish I had better information about Joe Flacco and being able to play because the 2.5 points for the Bengals seems really enticing.
Yeah. So I'm going opposite. Well, I'm actually going to drop the points here, man, because I think this Bengals team is not going to be in a good spot. With Joe Flacco, if he doesn't play, which my understanding was he was probably not going to be able to play. Like an AC joint fucking hurts, bro. And in your throwing shoulder, they're going to have to shoot him up like crazy. And I think that's going to affect him. So I expect the Bears to take advantage of a really shitty Bengals defense. Caleb Williams has to have a bounce back performance. Otherwise, there's going to be conversations about like, is Caleb actually capable of doing this thing? And this is a defense where he should take advantage of them. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for this one fucking week. I'm going to say Caleb Williams is going to pull it out and beat the shit out of the Bengals because I don't know that Joe will be very effective even if he does play.
All right. Sounds good. Looking forward to this next one here, though, Mike. Best team in football going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ooh. Indianapolis Colts -3 at -115 odds. You can take them on the money line for -162 and an over/under of 50.5 in this game. I mean, I'll come out and keep saying it until they prove me wrong. I love the Colts team this year. I think that they're fucking phenomenal until they actually go up against some sort of a juggernaut that's able to kind of put them in their place. I don't know how I can pick against the Colts at this point because they're doing so damn well. Jonathan Taylor looks like he is in the conversation for being the MVP. Comeback player of the year could be Daniel Jones. You are looking at potentially the offensive rookie of the year, the head coach of the year, and Tyler Warren and Shane Steichen, respectively. Like everything's going really good for this team. Um, give me the Colts. I'm going to take them on the money line. If this was a -2.5 or something like that, I don't want them to be at that field goal mark for whatever reason and get a push. But I honestly feel like the Colts probably will win by at least a touchdown here. I think that they're going to have so many answers to that Steelers defense, which has a lot of holes and a lot of old guys on it that they'll be able to take advantage of. And so give me the Colts on the money line. I like that one a lot here.
All right, man. So I also like the Colts a lot. They are, in my opinion, the best team in football. Offensive, defensive, they have just got it figured out. Daniel Jones has been a fucking revelation. He's making mistakes, but he's not letting those mistakes completely derail games for him, which is something that we have seen in the past. Maybe that's your guy, KOC, getting in his head like, hey, man, we're all going to fuck shit up. Like, just keep doing your thing. He's kind of showing he's got some physical, obviously he's got some physical talents. So that offense can run the ball really well, and they have very athletic wide receivers. Maybe they're not the greatest wide receivers, but they go out there and they make athletic plays. And the most unathletic secondary in the entire NFL is the fucking Steelers. They are old. Everybody on that team is basically a fucking geriatric on the defensive side of the ball. I made that joke the other night over on Dog Chub. Shout out to those guys for having me on. Nobody laughed. But I mean, everybody on that team is old as fuck. Like, I do not see how they can keep up, how they can run with this Colts team. That's a problem that I said that they were going to have last week against a group of young, athletic wide receivers who are maybe not great. And what happened? Jordan Love went out there, just threw it up, and those young athletic dudes just beat the old guys. That's exactly what I expect to happen again this week. I'm dropping the points. Colts -3.
Yeah, look, expect Tyler Warren to kind of go off. You saw what Tucker Kraft did last week against this team.
Yeah.
Tyler Warren, in my opinion, is just as good of a receiver at the tight end spot. They're going to probably watch that tape and say, and the Steelers all year have had issues with covering the tight end. They're one of the worst in the league at covering the tight end, and made specific comments about it before going up against my Vikings overseas that they had specifically practiced and found ways to better cover the tight end. Well, it might have worked for a little bit, but it did not work last week. I don't think it's going to work this week either. So I expect Tyler Warren to have a pretty good day as well.
Yeah, I can easily see him going off for probably over 100 yards and a tud.
That would be great for my fantasy team.
I bet it would. Go ahead, brother. We'll let you go ahead and prep this one. But first, let's hit him with a transition.
All right. Next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers going into New York versus the Cam Scattabulous Giants. Hopefully, the aura around that team hasn't completely wasted away. But they do have Superman there in Jackson Dart. I don't know if you saw him going around to the children's hospitals dressed up as Superman. Pretty fitting. I wish he had worn the eye paint, though, when he did that.
Good guy,
that would have been a cool look. But either way, in this game, San Francisco is favored as a road favorite, -2.5 points, -115 odds, over under of 46.5. Mike, do you think the Giants have enough vibes there with Jackson Dart and basically a triage crew of everyone else? Tyrone Tracy is the new starting running back again, and Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton at the wide receiver spot. Do you think that offense can compete with the San Francisco 49ers defense while they are slowly getting healthier? Sounds like Brock Purdy very well could start. I believe the comment earlier this week from Shanahan was it is not a long shot for him to come back and play in this game. So we might see Purdy out there for the 49ers.
I think that this Giants team is going to play hard because of their quarterback and their head coach and the way, and the vibes are good. Do I think the vibes are good enough to win and compete in this game? No, not necessarily. I think the injuries are really starting to pile up for this Giants team. That sucks because they were a fun team. They were exciting to watch. I don't know that that's going to be the case throughout the entire rest of the year, though, because now that all of these Jackson Dart continues to lose these weapons, it's going to make his job a lot harder too. So I like the 49ers on the money line here. I'm not dropping any points. They're getting healthier. If Brock Purdy is back, I think we'll see probably an uptick. Mac Jones did exactly what he kind of needed to do. Went 500 in the games that he started while he was out. I think that's all you can ask out of a backup is to go 500 while your starter is out. He was able to do that, keep the 49ers afloat. I think they get a dub here.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to go 49ers as well, though I am pretty scared about this. This is being played out there in New Jersey, Giants home field. And as we know, that field likes to eat up players. And if there's one team that likes to have their players get hurt, it's the 49ers. As a Christian McCaffrey owner in one of our fantasy leagues, I'm scared. Daddy's scared. George Kittle just came back. I'd be scared if you're a George Kittle owner. So it is a little bit trepidatious there because if the 49ers lose one of their key pieces, all of a sudden this flips, and I feel a lot better about the Giants because they're used to playing on this field and used to having everyone get hurt by this point. But I'll take the 49ers on the money line here just because I am concerned about how they are going to spread the ball out there in New York and if this attrition is really going to completely derail them.
Yeah, man. I mean, that is a team that next year, I think they will retain their coaching staff and have a chance to be really fun and compete because they're going to go out, probably draft another wide receiver or another weapon of some kind because outside of Malik Neighbors, it really drops off after that. And I think they're seeing that this year. So they'll probably address that, help Jackson Dart with those weapons in case, injuries do pile up because that field does eat people alive. But with that, we'll transition into our next game. Your game, your Minnesota Vikings are heading over to Detroit. Detroit favorited -8.5 over under of 48.5 in this game. Evo, that is a big spread. Your team is going to have their young, exciting quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, back starting. Your backup is going to be Brosmer, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And John Wolford is the recently signed third string practice squad emergency quarterback. Yeah.
So you don't have a ton of experience at the quarterback spot. Now, you guys did get Aaron Jones back last week from the IR. How do you see this game going? Can you guys stay close, compete in this game, keep it within the 8.5? Are you expecting your team to maybe somehow pull this one out against this Lions team that does give up a lot of passing yards?
Yeah, it's not a 0% chance that we win, but it is close to, in my opinion. Look, this is a lot to expect from, again, this is a quarterback's third start in the NFL and JJ McCarthy coming off of injury. Hopefully the offensive line is nearly completely intact. Hopefully Brian O'Neill is out there playing. Hopefully Christian Darrisaw is out there playing. And him having both those tackles out there is something that he hasn't had yet for JJ McCarthy. Same with Jordan Addison. JJ McCarthy's favorite target in training camp was Jordan Addison, mostly because, Justin Jefferson was sidelined with a hamstring. So, but the connection there was fantastic. So I'm looking forward to getting to see him behind a decent offensive line, getting to throw the ball to his full complement of receivers. That being said, this is his second or third actual week of practice as an NFL quarterback. He had the week between training camp and their first game. And then the second game that I went to versus the Falcons, they held a walkthrough on Wednesday, and then Thursday he had his first child and wasn't there. So he didn't really practice that week. So this is his second week of NFL practice in his second year in the NFL. You're asking a lot of a young quarterback. So that Lions defense definitely susceptible in the secondary, but they do have guys out there like the recently paid Hutchinson, who just got the bag, who's going to be rushing the passer. You've got Aleem McNeil in the center, going to be providing pressure. We've seen how dominant he can be. Excuse me.
Usher.
I am concerned, obviously, about JJ McCarthy having to go out there, but he's a guy that's never lost a game in Michigan, um,
I
which
mean,
maybe means that he's due. But that being said, like my biggest fear truly is the Detroit Lions offense against our defense right now. Um, and there's one thing Jared Goff does really well, and that finds open guys in the middle of the field. And one thing that our defense is allowing really bad, and we saw Justin Herbert just kind of tear us apart, is open guys in the middle of the field. That coupled with a porous run defense right now, and you saw Kamani Vidal, the third/fourth string running back for the Chargers, who again I'm a big fan of, but at the end of the day, you're slotted on the depth chart for a reason in that certain spot, and he still kind of torched this Vikings rush defense last week. So I think that they're going to have their way with the defense unless Brian Flores pulls a rabbit out of the hat. Um, so it's a non-zero chance. I hope to see us keep it close. And at the end of the day, I want JJ McCarthy to go in, get his reps, not get hurt, and hopefully we can start to see some progression there. Now, when it comes down to the brass tacks of this game, though, I'm going to be taking the Lions on the money line. I fully expect the Lions at home with how good their offense is performing, and despite having weaknesses in the secondary of their defense is still okay. Um, and going up against a rookie quarterback without very much experience, so they have the upper hand there. So I'll be taking the Lions on the money line.
all right, man. So I'm also going to go Lions on the money line. Basically, everything that you said, I agree with. So I don't want to re-say your analysis. The Lions have a really good running game. You guys have been torched recently. I am interested to see how JJ comes back after missing all this time. He has not had a ton of opportunities to show much of anything, and this is going to be a really tough test because they just signed Aidan Hutchinson. What I really want to talk about is that contract, that money, because he's 4-year, 180 or 100 and what was it, $180 million.
I just know that the average annual value is like
$45 million
half a
a year.
mil. Yeah, it's like half a mil less than what Micah Parsons is getting.
Yeah, $45 million a year. That's a great number if you're an edge rusher. It's fucking incredible. But since my Browns are not playing this week, I'm going to take 1 minute to just talk about the Browns and Myles Garrett, who's on a contract for $40 million. So Myles can get angry and throw his helmet down all he wants at this point. Because guess what? Myles Garrett is not even close to being the highest paid fucking edge rusher. He didn't choose the money. Everybody was getting this fucking money. Go and look at what these contracts are doing, because people aren't just beating what Myles got. They are crushing what Myles got. $5 million a year over his annual value. That is a massive, massive number. Now, I would love if my star fucking player would not throw his helmet down and rally his guys around. But when he does what he did last week, 5 sacks, and nobody else does fucking anything, I understand the frustration. So I appreciate these teams continuing to pay their edge rushers a lot more money than we're paying Myles Garrett, because it makes his deal look all that much better.
I gotta disagree with you there. When he took his deal, was he not the highest paid at his
What?
position? Yeah. And he has a 5-year head start. So like it makes sense that the guys that are younger that are going to have a little bit more longevity are going to exceed his contract, not just by like a mil or something like that, but by a significant amount, an extra 5 million or so. Like
A lot of money.
he wasn't complaining about the money. He was the highest paid at his
Yeah.
position, the highest paid non-quarterback essentially. Like he took the money for the money. I'm sure anyone would have given him that. Don't get me wrong, but like
there
it
are people that are
was
contending that nobody else would have paid Myles Garrett $40 million a year. Very
yeah,
clearly, there are people out there that would pay at least that much money.
absolutely. Yeah. I think that it was a situation of like, this is the contract laid in front of me, and you don't know what the future market's going to be other than it's going to be higher than whatever
It
I'm
is
getting.
now, yeah.
Like if I'm setting the market, there's only one way this goes, and it's up from there. So, you could sit there and hold your breath and be like, yeah, maybe I'll get more than the 40 mil or whatever that they're offering me a year, but this is still the best that there is right now. Um, so like I wouldn't say I don't know any other way other than to say that he did it for the money because he
Oh
knows
yeah,
what the Browns are. He knows what his future entails by staying there. And it's a very lavish, luxurious lifestyle with lots and 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 lots of money. Uh,
there's lots and lots.
and and probably not a very positive outlook for the future of the team unless he's really playing the long game, which he's not a young dude. So that's crazy to think about that. Hey, this coaching staff is probably not going to stick around. And there's a potential that the GM's not going to stick around. And so if I sit here with this lots and 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 lots of money for 3 years, we might have a new regime who's brought in some youth and maybe the offense starts to kind of figure it out because this defense, I'm going to make sure holds it down. Maybe that's the mindset. But like at the end of the day, he got the bag. I think that's why he was completely
I don't have a
like
problem
fine
with
with staying.
I don't have a problem with him being pissed off on the sidelines. And because here's the thing, people are like, well, you shouldn't be mad. You chose the money. That's ridiculous. That's fucking stupid, in my opinion. You can't be mad because you chose the money. No, you can be mad. Nobody who likes getting their ass beat. And who likes getting your ass beat when you're performing great?
Uh, People who hire DOMs.
Okay, yeah.
The thing is that it's not the DOM paying them money.
That's true.
Yeah. Look,
All right.
I think that it's not a binary thing. Like it shouldn't be, oh, you can't be upset that you're losing because you got the money. Like I absolutely agree. You're allowed to be upset and also get paid a shitload of money. But I understand people's frustrations when it's like, well, you signed up for this. So, I get both sides of it for sure.
I understand. All right, man. Let's transition. We got the Saints heading out to LA. This is another big ass spread. You got the Rams favorited minus 14.5, over under 43.5. Saints starting a new quarterback this week and rookie Tyler Shuck. Spencer Rattler to the bench. Do you agree that this is the time to get Shuck in? Did Spencer deserve to be benched for what happened? I know we talked a little bit last week about this. Week removed after the benching mid-game. Do you think that was the right decision for this team going forward?
Absolutely. 100%. Spencer Rattler was performing way too well. If they're tanking, they need to put in Shuck. That's the move in my head. It, like I said in our show on Tuesday, it seemed like they were looking for an opportunity to say, oh, Spencer stumbled a little bit, so it's an easy, don't have to argue transition to the young guy, but also like they're on a mission to get the best pick that they can. It feels like an obvious tank type move to me, which is why, you have a quarterback that's performing like a top, we'll say 20 quarterback,
15-ish around
something like that. Yeah,
average quarterback play.
he's making your team competitive. You guys are in some of these games that maybe you shouldn't be. Can't have that if you're trying to get a high pick. So let's put in Shuck because maybe Shuck all of a sudden develops and starts to play really good. Well, then we figured our quarterback situation out. Cool. But more than likely, he's going to be a rookie and he's going to struggle and he's going to have some problems. And if he starts to figure it out, it's not going to be this week or next week or the week after. It'll be way closer to week 18. And by then, you're already sitting there with 2 wins and the top overall pick. So who gives a fuck? That now you have the option of saying, hey, Shuck isn't the guy, we can get a quarterback, or Shuck we think could be the guy. So let's trade this number one overall pick to another team that wants a quarterback and get back a bounty of riches and try to rebuild this roster. Yeah, it was absolutely the right move by the Saints. It's a terrible move as a football fan, and it's not the right thing if you are trying to win games. You keep Rattler in there, but for this Saints team, what they're looking to do, yeah, Shuck was the play at this point, if not earlier. And with that, I'm taking the Rams on the money line. I'm not dropping that many points. They are that many points better, but I'm not going to drop that many points. Give me the Rams.
Man, so I feel very similar to you. Rams money line for sure because Shuck is going to struggle. This is a good, well coached team, especially on defense with a bunch of guys you don't even know, so you know they're very fucking well coached. The fact that Spencer Rattler is not playing makes me feel much worse about the Saints team. Like I was considering the Saints in a couple of games because of how well Spencer Rattler had performed above my expectations. Now maybe Chuck will do the same thing, but I fucking doubt it. Like all you got to do is pressure Chuck, and he's going to break. He's going to see ghosts so fast. You thought Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts? Man, if you've watched the tape on Shuck, you pressure that kid at all, and it's a fucking nightmare. So, Rams money line, I also agree that they are probably 14.5 points better, but that's too many to drop. So I'm going with the Rams money line.
Look, I'm not invested in Shuck one way or the other. I know you are to a certain extent because his name got bandied around a lot with your team in the draft process. But like I saw some of the talent that was out there. I also recognize that he has injury problems, that he played a lot of years in college because of those injury problems, that he can be a little bit wild with things. We've all seen the kind of the cut-ups of him just fucking floating balls out there
Fucking
and
throwing it
doing some
over his
crazy
head.
shit. I am not invested one way or the other in Shuck. So I'm absolutely rooting for him to make me eat crow because I want to see the team that's trying to what feels like step on their
Right.
crank and lose or in order to get a high pick. Like I would love for him to go out there and prove me wrong. I'll 100% be on here next week eating crow if he goes out and balls out. I'm all for it. I when teams tank, I get it and it's necessary, but also I would love to see them trip on their way to a tank and find themselves a couple wins and not get the pick that they want.
A la Fitzmagic in Miami a few years ago.
Hmm.
All right, man. Let's head on to our next game. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars headed out to Las Vegas. The Jags favored in this game, -3 points, over under 44.5. Evo, where do you see this one going? This seems like it's kind of a low spread considering how good the Jags have been and how bad the Raiders have been this season.
Yeah, and maybe travel kind of fits into this a little bit. I mean, the only other way that this makes a ton of sense to me is if Geno Smith has been benched, which to my knowledge isn't the case. So Geno's out there starting. Give me the Jags. Give me on the money line. This Raiders team, unfortunately, despite being at home, it's not much of a home game there, and that's part of the allure of Vegas is that everyone gets to go and see their team at this stadium, and will probably be a lot closer to a 50-50 split. So like other than the travel aspect of it for Jacksonville, I'm don't think that there's a huge competitive difference here. Like the Jags are just that much better. They've beaten some good teams. They've played some good teams well. So give me the Jaguars because the Raiders right now I think are weak in almost every area.
Yeah. I agree with you, man. The Jags are a much better team so far in basically all aspects. I would love for the Jags to lose because I hold their first round pick. I just don't see that happening this week. I'm taking Jacksonville money line. The offense has been terrible for the Raiders. That has continued. Now they are getting Brock Bowers back, who should be healthy at this point after the knee bruise really kind of fucked up the beginning of my fantasy season. So if he's back and healthy, maybe this offense will look a little bit better. I just don't see it. I'm going Jacksonville money line here as well.
Yep. All right, that takes us to our next game here, Sunday afternoon, and probably one of the more anticipated games of the week. Kansas City Chiefs going out to Buffalo versus the Bills. And we've seen the Bills kind of trip up, have some issues, but then they looked pretty good last week, especially behind the legs of James Cook. But this is a rivalry game at this point. Bills, Chiefs. Typically, these games, it feels like, are always getting played out in Kansas City, which kind of gives that edge to Kansas City. But Kansas City is favored on the road in this one, -1.5, over under a 52.5 points. And the Chiefs are looking good right now.
Very good.
They're looking good. Uh, they were 6 feet under, but they hadn't put the dirt on top of the coffin yet. And then spooky vibes happen. Mahomes resurrects himself like Frankenstein out of that box, and fucking Rashee Rice is looking good. Xavier Worthy's doing good things. That defense is looking pretty awesome. And so the Chiefs are looking really good right now. Whereas we've got over our past three matchups for the Bills, they're 1-2, which is a little bit scary if you're a Bills fan. So I'm interested to see where you're going to go in this one, Mike, because at a 1.5 spread, it's basically close to a pick 'em in this one.
Yeah, and man, which is the way it kind of feels now. The Bills have been kind of up and down on defense. The rushing defense has been kind of porous, but the Chiefs don't necessarily run the ball great. They're trying to find a way to get going. Like Kareem Hunt's gotten in the end zone, but they have three dudes that are getting carries there, and none of them are happening consistently. So am I necessarily worried about Kansas City's run game against that kind of crappy run defense? Not necessarily.
And Ed Oliver on IR. That's like
Yeah,
the heart and soul of their defensive line.
yeah, it is, and that really sucks. But the difference, I think, is Rashee Rice coming back. He's a true number one. Rashee Rice makes that entire offense better because he opens up things for Travis Kelce. He opens up things for Xavier Worthy. Like, that's what is going to allow that running game a little bit more, because there's going to be attention paid to Rashee Rice. He will probably be fucking doubled in this game on multiple occasions. So, I mean, that's taking a guy away from your defense in the run game and all sorts of areas. I like this Bills team. I love Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen right now is playing excellent football as long as he takes care of it. He's had a couple of weeks where he reverted to old Josh Allen. But I am higher on this Chiefs team right now with the get back of Rashee Rice. So I'm going to rock with the Chiefs, and I'm going to take them on the money line. Normally, this matchup, I would take the home team because of how they always play each other. But here I'm going to take the Chiefs, man. I think they're just riding high right now.
Yeah, I think this could be a fun game. I mean, it should be a fun game. I don't think we're going to see a blowout, unlike last week where it was nothing but felt like blowouts and kind of less fun football to watch unless you were a fan of a certain team that was getting that blowout. This should be a competitive one. And I really hope it is. I had serious considerations about taking the over here at 52.5, but I'm also going to take the Chiefs on the money line in this one. It just feels like they're playing better right now. I see producer Amber popping up here that she hates that we're picking the Chiefs in this one, and I agree because I'm a Josh Allen rider right now. But because of some of the slip ups that they've had over the past three games, because that run defense isn't very good, and because I just have some question marks overall about that Bills defense and the lack of huge offensive weapons on the offense, I'm going to go with the Chiefs on the money line.
All right, man. Makes a lot of sense to me. I would not hate getting this wrong, but also I would like to get every pick right so I can make some money.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
All right. Next up, we got the Seattle Seahawks going into Washington versus the Commanders. Seahawks are favored here, -3 at -110 odds. Or you can take them on the money line for -166 odds, over under of 47.5. Washington Commanders, sounds like I don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to be playing in this one or not.
I don't
And
think he is, but
you know, the offense there is just kind of looks so right now, but the Seattle team is looking very dominant, very good, coming off of the bye week. We'll get to see if that gets them a little bit healthier, and how well they're going to be able to perform off of that bye. Mike, what are your thoughts on this one?
I want to know if Jaden Daniels is going to play. You brought it up. I'm pretty sure he's not, but producer Amber, if you'll let me know. I don't know if it will change my pick too much. Jaden Daniels, I think, is special, but this Commanders team has struggled recently in a lot of aspects. Now, obviously, Marcus Mariota is drastically different as a quarterback in terms of the things that he's going to try to do. I understand they're both athletic, but they play the games very, very differently. Seattle has been a good team. I want them to run the ball efficiently with fucking Kenneth Walker. But I still think that even if they don't necessarily do that, Jaden Daniels is expected to start.
Yep.
I'm still going to go with Seattle, man. I think Seattle's a better team. I'm going to take Seattle on the money line. That almost swayed me because I love Jaden Daniels. I think everybody who's seen the show knows that. But Seattle has been a pretty damn good team this year. I'm going to continue to ride with that.
Yeah, I would say that the way that Seattle is playing right now, they the Chiefs have a little bit more of a high because they looked kind of really rough at the beginning of the year, and now they're looking good. I would put Seattle in the same sort of class though as the Chiefs, the way that they're playing. Um, I think that a Seattle versus Chiefs game would be very competitive, and I say that because last week the the Commanders were only able to put up 7 points against the Chiefs team. That was with Marcus Mariota, and Jaden Daniels makes a difference, but I don't know if he makes much more than maybe like an extra 2 touchdowns sort of a difference there. I've been kind of down on this Washington team. Yes, they have McLaurin back. Yes, they've got Debo. I actually think might be hurt in this one as well. I'm going with Seattle in this one. I like them on the money line as well to win this game. I think that the spread actually might not be enough, to be completely honest. I don't want to call it a sophomore slump. It just feels like the offensive pieces aren't there for him to really take advantage of. Also, the defense, it is looking aging for that Washington Commanders team. Um, Terry McLaurin's out, according to producer Amber, so no scary Terry in this one either. Though he wasn't a huge compliment in the last game. But yeah, give me Seattle. I like Seattle in this one.
All right, man. Seattle in that one. So heading on to our last game of the week, Monday night, we got the Cardinals heading out to Dallas. Dallas favorited -2.5, over under 53.5. So Vegas is expecting a lot of points in this one. Evo, how do you see this breaking down? This Cardinals defense is actually not bad. They're going up against a really good offense in this Cowboys team. And I think kind of vice versa, an offense that is not necessarily great in the Cardinals against an absolutely porous Dallas team. How do you see this one shaking out, brother?
Yeah, well, another one for producer Amber. We're making her work her ass off today, so
Yeah,
make sure you pay her well uh, after the show.
I
But
will.
Kyler Murray, as I understand it, still is kind of limited in practice this week with the foot injury, and maybe it's because he's starting to change games. Look, Battlefield just put out their Battle Royale, and it looks almost identical to Warzone, except it does things that Warzone did just a little bit better. Um, or you could be practicing to be ready for when the new Black Ops comes out. But also, shout out to the game Arc Raiders. If you haven't seen Arc Raiders, it's an extraction shooter. It's taking over right now. It looks fucking awesome. I would love to get my hands on it and play it. He's trying out a new game, new
Is it
Kyler,
on
new game.
console?
I don't know. It is on everything, cross-play, everything. Looks
Oh.
looks really good. It's interesting. That being said, I don't have a whole lot of faith in that offense unless Brissett is playing, and even then, Jacoby Brissett, I'm not super convinced. We got word here, official confirmation. Head coach Jonathan Gannon has indicated they are preparing Murray to start, but has not yet made an official announcement. And with that, if Jacoby Brissett's not playing, I'm not taking the Cardinals in this one. That unfortunately, we saw Dallas put up 22, 24 points last week,
Yeah.
and their defense gave up 44. We know the defense is porous, but I don't think that the offense coming from the Cardinals will be able to keep pace with that Dallas offense at this point. So I'll take Dallas. I'm going to take them on the money line just because maybe this is a little bit closer because of how bad that Dallas defense is.
Brother, I agree with you that this Cardinals team with Kyler Murray is not nearly as actually, they're not even as fun to watch because you're not watching football. You're watching Kyler Murray just fuck off in the backfield for a little while and then tries to throw it downfield. I don't necessarily enjoy that brand of football all the time. I enjoy out of script plays every once in a while, but I want to watch some football. Dallas, they play terrible defense, but that offense is really good. I think that they'll get the running game going a little bit. But I'm just down on Kyler Murray with this Cardinals team, kind of the same as you. So I'm rocking same thing with you there. Cowboys money line makes a lot of sense to me.
All righty, sounds good. Well, that wraps up our week of picks, but we still have one more thing to go over, and that's our good boy Blitz. Didn't hit
Okay.
last week, but he's been having some decent betting for us, and he put together a parlay for us this week to go over. Mike, can you throw that parlay up for us?
I sure can. Maybe if I add it to the fucking stage. There we go. There it
we
is. So Blitz came in hot this week, man. So a lot of these guys that we've talked about throughout the day already. And I see a repeat bet from Blitz that has done very good for us. Evo, my man, now that you got up there, you want to take us through what Blitz has for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jonathan Taylor again looking like at least the offensive player of the year, but I don't know that there's too many people beating Jonathan Taylor out to be MVP right now. Yeah, you got your Bakers, yeah, you got your Daniel Jones, and typically that's a quarterback that gets MVP. But the way that Jonathan Taylor is playing, he's on a historic pace right now. So going over 116 rushing and receiving yards, total yards there in that game. That's a good boy Blitz at a minus 114 odds. That's pretty good. Jahmyr Gibbs, look, you sometimes you can't teach an old dog new tricks. He's going with what has been working there. Jahmyr Gibbs over 17 and a half first quarter rushing yards versus my Vikings and that poor's kind of run defense. Absolutely should be able to hit there. And then Aronde Gadsden, one of my guys that I loved in this draft process, who's just steadily been getting better and better each week, over 50 yards receiving. He's had several weeks there where he's gone 80 plus, even getting into triple digits at is that plus 108 odds there
Plus
for
108.
more than 50 receiving yards. I love it. That gives us 621 odds. I like what Bliss has put together here for us.
I really do as well. Now, Jonathan Taylor, we have talked about, he has been going over basically 100 plus total yards every week. I think he's on pace at like almost 160 total yards every week. Jahmyr Gibbs, we've seen this bet before. Blitz, hey, when he finds one he likes, he sticks with it. I understand it. And we talked about Aronde Gadsden. Man, he has been so good for that Chargers team. So I love this bet. Plus 621 odds. That's not a bad little number there. We've seen him put some higher numbers up, and those are the ones that have hit. Some of his safer bets haven't necessarily been the ones that hit.
Yeah. And look, at the end of the day, when you get odds this high, it's usually because you've got something in there that is a little bit scarier. All these seem very reasonable, very reasonable. So I like where Blitz's puppy head is in this one. He's giving us the Red Rocket play of the week here at 621 odds. I love it.
Yeah, so I put his bet in this morning. $10 bet will win you 72.14 is the way it came out for me at plus 621. So hell yeah, I appreciate Blitz coming through. Real quick, we'll go back to this. I got to add our picks for the entire show so you guys can get those as well. But my man, Evo, why don't you talk to the people, wrap this thing up while I get this other image up here for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, for anyone who's tuning in, again, a little bit different of a show. Typically, we go live in these, but unfortunately, because of my travels and the holiday going on, we figured it's best for us to go ahead, record a show for you, put this out on Saturday, so that way you can enjoy your Halloween trick-or-treating event time. Whether you're going out with your kids or you're going to be handing out candy at the door, enjoy that, and then sit down on Saturday. And since you're not going to be able to pull up your YouTube TV and watch college football on ESPN or on ABC, since the fucking networks can't figure out how to get deals done, and now it's not on YouTube TV anymore, you don't have to worry about it. You can come on here, you can watch our show, you can get your bets and your picks in for Sunday's football games and our Monday night game. And for watching this and hanging out with us, we truly appreciate you tuning in and giving us your support. Again, I'm going to keep shilling this. Federal employee. I'm not getting paid right now. I am I am eating scraps. I'm picking up cigarette butts outside of McDonald's and smoking them to try to get my fix in because I'm just so poor right now. Not really, but I am on unpaid federal
Hey,
employee. So the one thing that I ask is just take a second out of your day, if you could, pop over to our YouTube or our X pages, give us a like, a follow, a share. find us on TikTok. We're really trying to push the TikTok right now. Once we get to a certain number of people following us, we can start going live on there and providing you guys more content, more capability of getting your bets in there and trying to make yourself some money because money's tight right now. The economy's rough, so you got to find different ways to make a little papega, you know? So thank you all for tuning in and watching. But Mike, go ahead and throw those picks up. Let's see what we got for the week. So that way everyone can either fade us or follow us.
Boom. So there it is, people. All of our picks right now. I'm at 63, 57, and 1 for 52% on the year. Evo, rocking a pretty good percentage right here. 69. Cha-ching. See you in a minute. Producer Amber. 51 and 1 at 57%. Pretty good on the year. Over 50% have not dropped under 50% at any point on the year for the people. So I'm very happy with that. Let's try to keep that going this week. We have a lot of picks that we agree on this week. So if you guys want to put a bit together a parlay, you can kind of put all of our things together that we agree on. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes we come out with a lot of different shit. So I feel good about this week. But my man, I appreciate you. I know it's early for you. I know it's the same time for me, but you're not used to this. You're traveling. Thank you so much for doing this Friday show. Say hello to the boys for us. Happy Halloween to you and the family and to everybody who is tuning in. Happy Halloween yesterday. And the wife. Yes, producer Amber would say hello to your wife as well, Eva, please.
Absolutely.
But guys,
Speaking of 69.
Thank you very much for tuning in. Time is the most valuable thing that you have. So anytime that you give some of it to us, we are forever grateful. With that, I'm going to give my man Evo one last word, and then we are going to get the fuck out of here, and then we will be back Tuesday night. Evo, give him the last word.
The last word is, hey, shout out to my boys, Dario and Demetrio. I know you guys love being shouted out on the stream, so I can't wait to see you guys tonight. Looking forward to a super fun weekend and getting to enjoy some quality time together. So, hi, boys.
Hell yeah. Also, hi, boys. Enjoy Halloween. I hope you have a great time. With that, we are going to get the fuck out of here. I am Mike. That is Evo. This is Raw Dog Sports. We'll see you guys Tuesday night. See you.